Zach, you always bring the energy. I'm just going to give you the floor.
Guys, they did it again. This one by the hair on their chin. But guys, this is just who the Denver Broncos are now. They win close games, and I'll tell you what, Bo Nix said it best after the game that this is what wins playoff games. Close games. Every single game in the playoffs is going to be close, and you need to be able to win those games, and that's what the Broncos are getting great at right now, is winning these games. Sean Payton said at halftime, when everything looks disastrous from the Broncos, from special teams to offense, the defense has given up some yards, but coming up strong in the red zone and goal line situations. Sean said everyone in that room at halftime knew the Broncos were going to win that game. And that's just who the Broncos have become, guys. 4 of the past 5 games, the Broncos have come back in the fourth quarter to win. Obviously, 6 straight wins. It's the first time that has happened for the Broncos since 2015 when Benny Fowler was winning Super Bowls with Peyton Manning on that Super Bowl 50 team. So this is a special team, and they're doing it in the way that you can win in the playoffs. How about this, too, for this defense? Shout out to them because they won this game for the Broncos like they have been for many weeks. This is the 4th game in 9 games for the Broncos where they have not allowed a touchdown. Think about that. In an entire game, they didn't allow a touchdown, and they've done that nearly half their games this season. This defense is balling. And also, you add on top of that the Texans twice had first and goal from the 1-yard line, even the inches, and they went backward, and they had to settle for field goals. That is a championship caliber defense. Oh, and by the way, they did this without 2 All-Pros, Marvin Mims, and boy, did that one impact them in this game. And the defensive player of the year, Pat Surtain, Sean talked about it, really was honest about it. He said, man, when I turned in that injury report on Friday, I did not want to hit send because of how brutal it was. And he said this was really the first time all season where it's been that difficult. Yet the defense steps up, and the defense really helps the offense overcome a really rough day. Although at the very end, they came up when they needed it the most. And special teams, guys, holy moly, bad day for Darren Rizzi and this special teams. Yet the Broncos don't let that impact them. Instead of just having excuses of why they lost, they just came through with a win. Nick Bonito, guys, speaking of not giving up a touchdown, Nick Bonito could not believe that the Broncos didn't give up a touchdown. When he was told that in the postgame, he said, wait, really? We didn't give up a touchdown on this? And he had Jonathan Cooper right there on his shoulder for the whole press conference, whole interview. And Jonathan Cooper said, when asked about going up against the Texans' #1 defense, he said, we are the #1 defense. And I'll tell you what, man, he really looked like that, and they really looked like that today.
Zach, man, curious. Bo obviously plays extremely well last week. Offensive performance did not look great today. What did Sean say about it? What did Bo say about it?
Yeah, actually, Sean gave a little critique to Bo, which may be the first time we've heard this in a long time. Now, overall, very positive, but there was one thing he pointed to that Bo Nix can do better, and it's that internal clock about instead of staying in the pocket, you can run. Because there were many times today, guys, I don't know if you were able to see it on the game copy, where he could have taken off and run for 5 yards, for 10 yards, for 15 yards. And he did that at the end of the game for that huge 25-yard run, which was the difference in the game. So credit to Bo for that. But there were other times he could have done it. And Sean said, that's one thing we can work on with Bo. But he says you don't really want to force that because Bo is so good, that internal clock on the other end of the spectrum, it does not allow him to take sacks. And he said that is so key. So, Benny, I thought that was fascinating. Now, Sean, we're kind of getting into a playoff mode about just asking everyone, even guys he loves, to do just a little bit more, get a little better there. But like you said, as a passer, Bo just simply was not good. But Sean was extra hesitant after the game to talk about specifics until he watched the film. A little more today than usually he does. So I'm sure we'll get into that because under 50% completion, obviously not acceptable. But it all is acceptable when you win games. And that's what the Broncos are doing right now. Kind of to that point, Sean was asked, okay, you're midway through the season. And Sean said, stop. It's impossible to be midway through the season with 17 games. So Sean was kind of feeling himself, but then went on and said, what's our record? I forgot. And someone said 7-2. And he said, pretty good. And so that's where he's going to leave it, is the old Parcells quote, you are what your record says you are. Yeah, when you're 7-2, you definitely are what your record says you are.
Didn't Sean once say the Broncos over-under is 5.5 games? He said, have you ever seen me win 6 games?
Yep, he said next time you see me win 6 games, it's the first time.
Well, it's true once again. Got to 7 already.
Yeah.
Zach, we heard a little bit about
right.
this video thing, but we're kind of confused on how it worked. Can you tell us the story of what happened with the videos that Sean had made?
Okay, so do you remember the college theme songs that were played last week, or do I need to dive into that?
We can't hear you, so yeah. Oh, the
Okay,
college
so
theme songs. The
Saturday-
college theme songs. Yes, we heard about that.
Okay, so this was just an extension of that. Instead of theme songs being played on the Saturday night team meeting before Sunday's game, what he did was he had family members of the guys that could score touchdowns in this game call in and tell their significant other, their loved one, okay, you got this one. This one's for you. And RJ Harvey won the video award this week in Sean Payton's words because he got the Broncos touchdown there. And that one was designed. That one was showed yesterday when he had the family member called in, and it was a beautifully called play. It was beautifully executed. And guys, when I saw that one go in, I just thought, man, this is why you have Sean Payton calling plays. It was not pretty overall on offense. I'm not trying to cover any of that up. The offense needs to be better. They were also going against the #1 defense in the NFL to say that. But this is why you have Sean Payton calling plays, is because he was responsible for one of your 2 touchdowns. If you don't have him, then you don't get that touchdown. You do not win this game. You lose this game. The other touchdown was a great throw and catch from Cortland Sutton. I love the way Bo bounced back from that Evan Ingram pass just the play before. And I asked Bo about that, and he said it had nothing to do with trying to bounce back. He just saw the right look, and man, Cortland made a great play. And how about that 2-point conversion from Bo? Again, Bo was not great in this game by any means, but that pass and catch for the 2 points from him to Troy was a thing of beauty. That was picture perfect. So I don't know if the Troy one, if Troy had a family member call in for that one as well, or because it's 2-point conversion, it doesn't count. But RJ got one this time. And speaking of RJ, guys, man, maybe the most proud Sean was in this postgame was talking about RJ with kind of so much proudness in him.
Pride.
He said, we're seeing, with so much pride in him. Yeah, no, what? Yeah. He said, we're really seeing this kid develop and blossom in front of our eyes. So don't expect this just to be a 1-game thing where RJ Harvey leads the team in receiving, 5 catches on 5 targets for 51 yards and a touchdown. But expect this type of role moving forward. Maybe he sort of develops into that Alvin Kamara role right now moving forward, because it was clear from Sean, this was not, they didn't just see something in this Texans defense. They see something in RJ Harvey moving forward.
Zach, man, curious about what Sean has said about, or what he said about the special teams performance today. Like, what's going on with special teams? Saw the block kicked. There were some lapses in coverage. What did Sean say about special teams?
Not good. And he didn't say that exactly, but Benny, that was something that he was critical on after a win. And most of the time, Sean's pretty positive after wins, not with special teams. He said the one thing that really upset him was some communication errors in substitutions. We saw that happen last week. Again, some communication errors here. And Benny, Sean said, we knew coming into this game that field position was going to be absolutely key. And he said, thankfully for our defense, they bailed us out of that. But way too many times we were starting backed up in our own territory while they were starting near the 50-yard line. And he pointed to special teams for that. And man, is he right there. There were 4 or 5 or 6 things that were really inexcusable from the special teams, whether it was a player making a mistake, whether it was coaching, whether it was a mix of them. Guys, this is 2 weeks in a row where Sean Payton has been critical of special teams. Last week, it got Marvin Mims concussed. Then he wasn't here this week. Then it leads to Michael Bandy muffing a punt. So special teams is not good right now. Now, on Friday, Sean Payton said these exact words: Darren Rizzi's been outstanding. You can't say the same thing after today's performance. You certainly can't. The special teams has to get better because, Benny, as you know better than anyone else, if you want to make a deep playoff run, it can't just be offense and defense that are clicking. You have to have special teams. That will cost you games. And special teams honestly did their best to cost the Broncos a game until Will Lutz, AFC Special Teams Player of the Month, came through at the end of the game, and it was set up by a great 1-minute drive by Bo Nix in the offense.
Zach, anything else interesting from the locker room? Anything Bo had to say? Anything that the people need to know about?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Bo Nix said the expectations have changed with this football team. He says, look, I'm still a young player, but I've seen the expectations change in front of my eyes right now. The Broncos expect to win every game. And Bo said, look, it's not always pretty. We have a lot to work on right now. We have a lot to correct, but we expect to win every game. And if it has to be ugly, then it's going to be ugly, but we are going to win. We expect to win. And that is so different than the Broncos teams that have been here for the past decade right now. Last year, it's pretty clear from here in Bo. The Broncos didn't necessarily expect to win every game, yet they still go 10-7 and make the playoffs. But guys, when you are midway through the season, 7-2, you have tied for the best record in the AFC in the NFL. I love that the expectations are changing inside that building, and Bo isn't afraid to admit that. So these Broncos are legit, and I know it might not feel like, well, they're not blowing anyone out. Can we get one of those? These last-second wins are going to be huge once the playoffs come around. Once the Broncos are trailing, playing Kansas City at halftime, they're still going to believe. Once they're down with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter in the playoffs, they are going to believe. And, man, I'm going to say that they're going to continue to get it done. Now, if there is a game where they're going to blow a team out, it's this Thursday night against the Las Vegas Raiders. So it's going to be fun, guys. The Broncos in 4 days have an opportunity to be 8-2 with the best record in the entire NFL.
Love it, Zach. I guess my last question would be, what did you hear from, if you did hear anything at all from Talanoa Hufanga, just somebody who's been all over the field playing like at an all-pro level?
Yeah, man, I'll tell you what, did talk to him after. He's wearing his sunglasses in the locker room. He's feeling himself, and boy, did he have a huge game. He and Dre Greenlaw, man, just you can tell the presence that they bring to this defense, and you can tell in the locker room, man, he is a leader on this team. It's no surprise that he has that captainship. And he was just talking about the defensive performance and couldn't speak highly enough about it. And he should continue to speak highly because, guys, how about this stat? I think the Texans were 3 of 17 on third down. That stat alone is incredible. They were 1 of 15 on their final 15 third down conversions. We saw them get their first 2 going after Chris Abrams' drain. They only got 1 more in the entire game after the first drive. After that, that is how you win defenses. And Benny, to your question, Talanoa Hufanga said, we don't care where we get the ball. We don't care where the other team gets the ball. We are going to stop them. And boy, was that true. Nico Collins is this far away from reaching the ball across the end zone, but they hold him down, and then they come up a couple of plays later. The Texans went from the 1. They're kicking a field goal from their own 23-yard line, a 41-yard field goal instead of getting into the end zone inches away. That's the mentality of this defense. And, man, it's really taking on that personality of Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga.
All right, there he is. Zach Stevens bringing the energy from NRG. He's the best. Shout out, Zach. Safe travels home. We'll see you soon.
Great to see you, Zach.
Fellas, see ya. Thanks for having me on.